My beloved child. Pause here for a moment. Do not rush past these words, because there are moments that quietly arrive in a person's life carrying more meaning than years of waiting ever could. If this message has found you today, allow your heart to become still. Something has been moving behind the scenes for far longer than you realize, and what you are about to hear may change the way you look at every unanswered prayer, every silent night, and every chapter you believed had already ended. You have wondered why certain doors remained closed even after you knocked with faith. You questioned why conversations faded without explanation. You searched for meaning inside silence that seemed to echo louder than words. But heaven has never mistaken your tears for weakness. Every sigh you released into the darkness was counted. Every hope you carried, even when you felt embarrassed for still believing, was seen. Listen carefully, my child. Someone is closer to your path than you imagine. No, do not allow your thoughts to race ahead. Do not try to guess their name. Do not let impatience steal what peace is trying to teach you. There is something you must understand before the next chapter begins, because if you miss this lesson, you may fail to recognize the blessing standing before you. The return you have imagined is not arriving in the form you expected. Many people spend their lives praying for restored relationships while secretly wishing nothing about themselves would need to change. But restoration without transformation only repeats old pain wearing a new disguise. That is not my design for you. What is coming carries purpose. That is why this moment matters. Stay with these words. Do not leave yet. Something greater is unfolding than what your eyes can presently see. There were seasons when you believed your story had already reached its final page. You smiled while hiding disappointment. You encouraged others while quietly asking why your own heart remained unfinished. You learned how to survive disappointment so well that hope itself began to feel unfamiliar. Yet even then, heaven continued working. While you believed nothing was happening, invisible pieces were quietly finding their place. While you felt forgotten, timing was protecting you. While you cried because nothing seemed to move, countless things were moving beyond your sight. You have measured progress by visible change. Heaven measures progress by invisible preparation. Those two measurements rarely happen at the same speed. That is why waiting often feels confusing. You thought the silence meant abandonment. It was actually preparation. There is a difference. One steals hope. The other quietly builds it. The person connected to your future has also walked through roads they never imagined traveling. They have experienced moments that humbled them. Certain dreams they once trusted disappeared. Certain people they once depended upon walked away. Certain illusions they carried finally collapsed under the weight of truth. Those experiences were not punishments. They were lessons. Some lessons can only be learned after pride has fallen silent. Some hearts only discover gratitude after certainty disappears. Some souls only recognize genuine love after chasing everything that merely resembled it. This is why timing has mattered so much. Had your paths crossed before these changes, neither of you would have recognized what heaven intended to reveal. You would have spoken the same language while hearing completely different meanings. You would have looked at one another without truly seeing each other. You would have mistaken comfort for destiny. You would have confused excitement with peace. So heaven waited. Not because you were forgotten. Because you were valuable. There is a difference between delay and protection. Never confuse the two. Many people lose faith because they assume every closed door is rejection. Sometimes it is simply wisdom arriving before understanding. Do not skip ahead in your heart. Remain here for a little longer. Something important is about to become clear. There is a reason you have recently felt subtle shifts inside yourself. Perhaps you became less interested in proving your worth. Perhaps certain conversations suddenly exhausted you. Perhaps things that once seemed exciting now leave your spirit strangely empty. Perhaps you have noticed yourself choosing peace more often than noise. These are not accidents. Transformation rarely announces itself with loud celebrations. It often begins with quiet changes no one else notices. Your soul has been growing. Your perspective has been changing. Your patience has been stretching beyond what you believed possible. And because of that, the chapter ahead can now carry what previous chapters could not. Still, there is something heaven needs you to understand before anyone walks back into your life. Do not expect perfection. Expect honesty. Do not expect a story without scars. Expect hearts that have finally learned why truth matters. The greatest miracles are rarely people without broken places. They are people who no longer hide those places. There is beauty in that kind of courage. There is strength in that kind of humility. The world celebrates appearances. Heaven celebrates authenticity. Never forget the difference. You have spent too much time believing love must arrive dramatically to be meaningful. Sometimes heaven speaks through ordinary moments carrying extraordinary purpose. A simple conversation. An unexpected message. A familiar face appearing after a long absence. A sentence that reaches places inside your heart no one else knew existed. These moments often look ordinary until years later. Only then do people realize heaven quietly changed everything inside what seemed completely normal. This is why discernment matters. Not every loud opportunity carries destiny. Not every quiet beginning lacks significance. Listen more deeply than appearances allow. There are conversations waiting to happen that will not sound impressive to everyone else. Yet they will carry peace your spirit instantly recognizes. Pay attention to peace. Peace has a language that fear cannot imitate forever. The person connected to your path has been changing in ways even they struggle to explain. They have questioned themselves. They have revisited memories. They have recognized mistakes they once ignored. Certain truths have awakened them during quiet hours when no one else was watching. Growth often happens privately before it becomes visible publicly. Do not judge someone by the version you remember if heaven has been rewriting chapters you never witnessed. Likewise, do not expect them to meet the version of you that existed years ago. You are no longer that person either. Your tears changed you. Your prayers shaped you. Your disappointments refined you. Your resilience quietly strengthened places inside your heart that comfort never could. Neither of you remained frozen in time. That matters more than you realize. Still, another question remains. Why now? Why does this message arrive today instead of months ago? Because there are moments when preparation quietly reaches completion. Not perfection. Completion. There is a difference. Perfection belongs to no human story. Completion belongs to seasons. Certain seasons end. Others begin. Heaven recognizes those transitions before human eyes do. You have been standing closer to one than you realize. Yet before anything changes externally, something must settle internally. Release fear. Not because fear has never protected you, but because fear cannot lead you into promises it refuses to trust. You have built walls so carefully that even hope sometimes struggles to enter. You told yourself those walls were wisdom. Sometimes they were. Sometimes they were simply exhaustion wearing wisdom's clothing. There is healing still unfolding. Do not rush it. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without becoming imprisoned by the memory. That freedom changes everything. Imagine carrying yesterday's wounds into tomorrow's opportunity. Imagine interpreting kindness through the lens of old betrayal. Imagine rejecting genuine love because false love once disappointed you. This is exactly why heaven has been healing places inside you that no one else could reach. Not to erase your past. To prevent your past from stealing your future. Can you feel the difference? The road behind you taught survival. The road ahead requires trust. Those are completely different journeys. Stay with me. There is still more. Some of you listening have secretly asked whether you somehow missed your opportunity forever. Whether one mistake destroyed what could have been. Whether time has already run out. Hear this carefully. Hope does not disappear simply because fear repeats the same question. Your future is not built upon fear's imagination. It is built upon purpose. Purpose survives storms. Purpose survives waiting. Purpose survives misunderstandings. Purpose survives distance. Purpose survives silence. If heaven intends to bring two paths together, fear alone cannot permanently separate them. But impatience can create unnecessary detours. That is why today's message is arriving before tomorrow's moment. Prepare your heart before preparing your expectations. The order matters. Many people prepare celebrations. Very few prepare character. Yet character determines whether blessings remain. There will soon come a moment when your emotions want immediate answers. Do not force them. Allow truth to reveal itself naturally. Some conversations bloom beautifully only when they are not rushed. Silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes silence gives honesty enough room to breathe. Trust that. There is another mystery I must reveal before this part ends. The return you have imagined has already begun in ways neither of you fully recognize. Not through dramatic announcements. Not through impossible signs. But through subtle alignments. Unexpected thoughts. Gentle reminders. Doors quietly opening. Old burdens strangely losing their weight. Small moments that appear unrelated. Yet together they are forming a picture only heaven can presently see. You have mistaken these moments for coincidence. They have never been coincidence. They were invitations. Invitations to prepare. Invitations to forgive. Invitations to believe again. Invitations to become ready for what once would have overwhelmed you. And still, one final truth remains hidden. There is something your soulmate has recently discovered, something that has changed the way they think about you, about themselves, and about the future. They have not spoken these words aloud. They have carried them quietly, uncertain whether the right moment has finally arrived. That hidden realization is far more significant than you imagine. It is the reason invisible doors have begun to unlock. It is the reason heaven has interrupted your ordinary day with this message. But before that truth can be revealed, one final veil must be lifted, because what they learned was not only about love, it was about a promise that neither of you realized had been unfolding all along. And when that promise is finally uncovered, nothing about the way you see this journey will ever feel the same again. My beloved child, before your heart rushes toward the ending it longs to see, remain here with me for a little longer. Do not hurry past this moment. Something even deeper is waiting just beyond what has already been revealed. If these words have reached you today, it is because heaven is inviting you to understand what your eyes alone could never explain. Stay until the end. Do not turn away. There is another layer to this story, and it may be the very peace your heart has been searching for without realizing it. You have often believed that distance is measured only by miles, by unanswered messages, or by the passing of time. But there is another kind of distance that many never recognize. It is the distance between the person someone used to be and the person they are becoming. Sometimes two people stand only a few steps apart, yet they are separated by lessons that have not yet been learned. That unseen distance has slowly been disappearing. Not because either of you forced it. Not because circumstances suddenly became easy. But because wisdom has been quietly replacing confusion. Every experience that once seemed meaningless has been preparing both of you for a conversation unlike any you have shared before. Do not skip these words. There is something extraordinary hidden inside this revelation. The one connected to your future has begun seeing memories differently. Moments they once dismissed have returned to them with surprising clarity. Small conversations. Gentle smiles. Quiet acts of kindness. The way you remained respectful even when misunderstood. The way you walked away instead of creating unnecessary conflict. The way your heart chose patience when anger seemed easier. They did not fully understand those moments then. Now they do. Time has become a teacher. Perspective has become a mirror. And through that mirror they have begun recognizing things they were once too distracted to notice. This realization did not happen in one dramatic moment. It happened little by little. Like dawn slowly replacing the darkness without anyone hearing the sun rise. One evening they remembered something you once said. Another day they found themselves comparing every temporary connection to the peace they once felt around you. Later they realized they had been searching for something they had already encountered before. That realization unsettled them. Because suddenly they understood that what they had overlooked was never ordinary. It carried something eternal. Something honest. Something heaven had quietly protected. There are nights when they have replayed old moments, wishing they had understood them sooner. There are mornings when they have wondered why certain memories refuse to leave their heart. The answer is simple. Truth has a way of returning until it is finally embraced. You may wonder why I allowed so much waiting. Why the silence became so long. Why certain misunderstandings were not immediately corrected. Listen carefully. If every answer arrived the moment you demanded it, faith would never grow. If every prayer were answered without waiting, patience would never develop. If every relationship unfolded exactly according to human expectations, hearts would rarely mature enough to protect what they receive. The waiting has never been empty. It has been full of unseen purpose. Even when you felt forgotten. Even when tears became your nightly companion. Even when hope seemed difficult to carry. I was never absent. I was arranging what you could not yet understand. Do not leave yet. Something even greater is about to be revealed. There has been a quiet battle surrounding both of your hearts. Not a battle of fear against love. But a battle between old beliefs and new understanding. Old beliefs whispered, "Nothing will ever change." New understanding quietly answered, "Perhaps heaven has not finished writing." Old beliefs insisted, "The opportunity has already passed." New understanding replied, "Timing belongs to God, not to disappointment." Old belief said, "Protect yourself by expecting nothing." New understanding gently reminded, "Hope is not weakness when it is placed in the right hands." Every day that unseen conversation has continued. Slowly. Patiently. Until hope became stronger than fear. You have noticed subtle changes inside yourself as well. The things that once consumed your thoughts no longer carry the same power. Certain wounds no longer define your identity. Certain disappointments no longer steal your peace. This is not because you forgot your pain. It is because healing has quietly become stronger than the memory of it. That is one of heaven's greatest miracles. Not removing every scar, but removing the chains attached to it. There is another truth you must hear. The return you have imagined is not simply about receiving someone back. It is also about receiving a new version of yourself. Imagine meeting tomorrow while still carrying yesterday's fears. Imagine opening a new door while refusing to release the old keys. That is why preparation has been so important. Your heart has been learning to recognize peace instead of chasing uncertainty. To recognize consistency instead of confusion. To recognize sincerity instead of empty promises. Those lessons will soon matter more than you realize. Because the moment approaching you will ask for discernment, not desperation. Many mistake excitement for confirmation. But peace remains steady even after excitement fades. Look for peace. Listen for peace. Walk toward peace. It carries my fingerprints. The one connected to your future has also reached a quiet crossroads. They have realized that some roads lead only in circles. Some conversations only repeat old emptiness. Some victories leave the soul strangely unsatisfied. Through all of this, one thought has quietly remained. Not loudly. Not constantly. But faithfully. A thought connected to you. It has returned unexpectedly during ordinary moments. While driving. While sitting alone. While watching the rain. While hearing a familiar song. While passing places that awaken forgotten memories. These moments seemed random. Yet none of them were. Sometimes heaven whispers through ordinary reminders because extraordinary signs are unnecessary for a willing heart. Do not misunderstand this. This is not about chasing someone. It is about recognizing what truth has patiently restored. Love built upon wisdom never demands attention. It naturally earns trust. That kind of love cannot be rushed. It grows quietly, deeply, faithfully. Just as great trees spend years strengthening roots long before anyone admires their branches. You have prayed for visible change. Heaven has first been growing invisible roots. Without strong roots, beautiful branches cannot survive the storms ahead. Remember that. There is something else your heart needs before the next chapter begins. Forgive yourself. Yes. Those words are for you. You have carried guilt over moments that heaven has already covered with grace. You replay conversations wishing you had spoken differently. You revisit decisions wishing you had known then what you know now. But wisdom always arrives after experience. Do not punish yourself for yesterday's limited understanding. Growth is evidence that you have changed. Do not imprison yourself inside chapters one have already closed. The future cannot fully enter a heart still living inside yesterday. Release it. Breathe again. Hope again. Believe again. Because the story ahead deserves a heart that is present. Not one trapped inside old regrets. Stay with me. The greatest revelation of this part is still waiting. There is an unseen appointment approaching. Not one marked on any calendar. Not announced by any clock. But known perfectly by heaven. An ordinary day will suddenly begin feeling different. A conversation you did not expect will unfold. Words long left unsaid will finally find courage. Questions that remained unanswered will quietly receive understanding. You may not recognize the importance of that moment immediately. But later you will remember this message. You will remember that heaven prepared your heart before that day arrived. And you will understand why today's silence was necessary. Yet there remains one final mystery. There is one truth your soulmate has not fully discovered about themselves. It is the very realization that will determine whether they step forward with complete courage or hesitate one final time. The answer has already begun unfolding. The final piece is closer than either of you realize. And when that hidden truth finally reaches the surface, it will set into motion a sequence of events that neither of you expected. A moment so quietly powerful that it will feel as though heaven itself has been arranging every step long before either of you noticed. But that revelation belongs to the next part.